But here's the surah of the Quran, which was the response of when the Prophet Muhammad was asked, you're saying all this stuff about this Allah. What is it, Allah? Who is it really? What is it? And this is called in various translations Ikhlas, meaning purity. But I like the one which is the refining. It's another translation of this name, which means, okay, if I were to just refine the meaning to the very essence of what Allah is, tell them this, basically. Say this, kulhu, say this, Muhammad. Who is Allah, the one? Allah, the eternal, absolute. Who never gave birth and who never was born. And there is none comparable to the one. And it goes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Kulhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Now I know that who is often translated he. To say he is Allah the one, Allah the eternal, the absolute. He never gave birth and he never was born, and there's none comparable to him or to the one. But it says ahad in the text. But you see, who, according to Imam Bilal, who led me in a 5-year seminar through the Arabic names, which we ended up writing about with others. According to him, who really doesn't have a gender. It's used often as a masculine pronoun, but it's really genderless. But the reason it's used in relation to God is the sound value of it, because it is the sound that the Sufi, it's contained in the name Allah as the last syllable of Ha, the Ha of Allah, and it's the sound the breath makes. And one of the meanings of Allah is the one and only breath. And then when you're doing this advanced Sufi practice of Chagall, where you're covering all the apertures of the senses and you are resting in the source of all sense, turning your attention backwards, and you're hearing all the sound that manifests as resolved into who, and all the light into the one light. So this is, but it has a personal sense to it. And that's why you want to translate it as he or she, you see, because it's saying, it's right there at the heart of the compassion, the secret of love that allows the only being in its boundless infinity to be the presence of love in all that exists. So I chose not to translate it here, just say, who is Allah? I mean, but the repetition of this, the fact is, if you refine the essence of the meaning of God, and you just say, eternal, absolute, oneness, ahad, samad, who. Basically, that's what he's saying. It's the who, which is eternal, absolute. It's no different from Allah, which is this love, which is beyond mind, filling everything. It never gave birth to anything outside of itself. This whole universe, this whole manifestation, from the who, from the absolute condition, never was the creation of something separate from. It didn't beget anything and say, okay, now I'm 2, I gave birth to this, and now I'm 3, and I've had more children or whatever, something outside of me that bears my mark. No, He never gave birth. Who never gave birth and who was never born? I mean, it didn't come into existence. It always was. And it didn't create anything outside of itself because nothing is outside of itself. So in that sense, I mean, if you had a time-lapse photography of the billions of years of the universe really speeded up fast, you know, all this manifestation would just be blip, 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 and then space. You know, and that's what they call Vishnu sleeping in the waters. You know, the cosmic waters, you know, the boundless, infinite vastness, formless, absolute, never born, never given birth, but wakes up to its own self. You know, in this rhythm of endless creation, becomes self-aware. And that self-awareness produces this love, which leads to this whole expression of self in the breath that is the breath of creation, but which really is the eternal movement of that one and only being into individuation and back into universal oneness. But this is, again, philosophical. I'm talking philosophically. Don't worry about it. If you do the practice, you get, you know, you don't have to, you know, Murshid says Sufism is 2 parts bhakti and 1 part jnana. In other words, 2 parts finding union with the God reality, the oneness, through love, and 1 part through knowledge. You know, so we're mixing it up here, but, you know, because without wisdom, love can lead you into a blind alley. You know, just following your feeling, you know, can lead you into many difficulties. But if it's guided by wisdom, then it only leads to unfolding.
So, Wali Ali, the interesting thing is that actually this past month I've been singing the Surah Ikhlas just about every day and chanting Aha and Salat.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, this is the way it is. We're in a stream. I'm not the source of this stream. You know, I'm kind of evoking the stream, calling it out from our teachings and our teachers, and you know. But I'm receiving from this, and we're all receiving from it. So it's no surprise that we get drawn. Perry was talking to me earlier about in his class, you know, his Gata class, that was drawn into the same practice we did this morning with the breath on the different elements. So this is what happens. We're in a stream of, if we can stay with it, and the first text that I gave for the class this time, oh, maybe it's the second one. Yeah, I'm going to read this and then I'll go back to what I thought I would do. The ascent of the Spirit. Really speaking, there's only one Spirit, the Spirit of all, the eternal Son, the rays of which are all souls, of angels, of jinn, and of men. No, really speaking, there's only one Spirit, only one soul, the Spirit of all, the eternal Son, the rays of which are all souls. So the individuation of it becomes the individual soul, but it's like the rays of the sun. There's much discussion about the descent of the spirits after death, but in reality, the natural tendency of the spirit is to ascend. No doubt the goal of every soul is the origin of all souls. You just, you know, factor in a few billion years, maybe. You know, I love the story of Lord Shiva, and who decides to manifest as an old sadhu in a village in rural India, just for fun. And and he lets people know, this old sadhu lets people know that he can tell them how many more lives they need to live before they attain to union with Brahm. And so people come up to him, the real spiritual people, they come up to him and they say, and he say, oh, 15 more lives, or 45 more lives, or whatever, and everybody's walking away saying, oh. And every time they're walking by this this drunk, really, this homeless person on the street or the path, and he says, oh, what did he say? What's he do? Oh, you know, he's out of it. And walking by, and finally the people get this fellow, the most practiced yogi in their whole area. He's standing for hours in the water and all these different, maintaining these postures, all this stuff. And they bring him to see this sadhu, and the sadhu says to him, Shiva, in the form of this old sadhu, says to him, he says, yes, you've done a lot of practice. Only 4 more incarnations for you before you. And the guy leaves kind of crestfallen. He's walking, and he says, oh, well, what did he tell you? What did he tell you? What did he tell you? He goes by the drunk. And he says, you go ask him yourself, And so he says, okay, I will. So he goes, and Shiva, in the form of the sadhu, he looks at him and he says, you've covered over your soul with so many layers of filth, and from your neglect, and so on and so forth. It's going to be 7,843,000 incarnations before you attain union with Brahm. To which the drunk stands up and starts dancing. And he says, you mean there's a place for me in this universe to have union with Brahm? And he starts dancing and shouting and celebrating, and Shiva confers it on him right then and there. Yeah.
No. I actually do have a question, and maybe it's off topic. We can just do it later. But it's probably off topic. But it's about Jamal and Jalal and Kamal. I was talking with
yeah, and that's my next subject. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So really, I had read that it was somehow, so it's like a really elemental question. Is it perfection or is it chaos?
What, Kamal?
Kamal.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it.
Okay, and so I'm just going to confess, this is confusing to me.
Okay, we'll get into that. I want to finish this, okay? I broke off to tell a story. No doubt the goal of every soul is the origin of all souls. Knowing that, really it doesn't matter if it's 7 million incarnations or 4, I mean, you're going to the same place, and if, so, I mean, the drunk had it right, I mean, celebrate, that, you're destined for unity. You're destined. You're a soul. You're destined for unity. And I I excerpt from this text. Initiate, but continuing along in the same paper, he says, initiation among the Sufis has for one of its many objects to find a caravan in the hereafter which journeys to the desired goal. We in this inner caravan of beings, you meet these beings which continue on, whether into the Buddha land, the Pure Land, or the guard, whatever it is, the caravan that is continuing on in its ultimate process through the inner and the outer world to union with the source. Therefore, by initiation, it is meant that Sufis prepare themselves here on earth by uniting in the brotherhood, sisterhood of initiation on the path, which may keep them connected with that caravan which is continually journeying toward the goal. That's the Sangha, that's the connection. We draw on that mutual connection. We draw strength from it, we draw guidance from it, we draw confidence in our life's purpose through this connectivity, because nobody has it all. Everybody has a piece of it. But when we practice as a whole, then we have something that we could never have accomplished alone. And that's what happens within a lineage or within a group of people, you know. I mean, things start getting accomplished that, you know, are the result of many people with different perfections and qualities that they've developed, you know, with a sympathetic attunement, creating this kind of inner caravan that is moving inexorably toward the goal.